What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Just Another Tech and Gaming Show, our little podcast series that we got going on here. We are getting on once again to bring you our thoughts and opinions on things that don't matter, but they do matter to us. So, I am your host, Nick, with my co-host, as always, Victor.
Hey, everybody out there in digital land.
What's going on? So we are getting on today to share our thoughts and opinions. First of all, I guess I should probably elaborate. We're playing Dead Cells once again. You'll enjoy some gameplay. This time you're watching Victor's gameplay as you listen to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're just listening to the podcast, just know that we're playing games. A little bit distracted. It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit different to do it this way, but we like it so far. Now, this time we're going to talk, we're kind of doing more of a discussion, not so much news, really, just kind of talking amongst ourselves about the state of the gaming industry in 2019 and our thoughts and opinions on it, mostly talking about games and services because that's what exists these days. Now, I also kind of wanted to talk, Victor, well, first of all, what have you been playing?
I have been playing, that game, The Floor is Hot Lava. That's an Apple Arcade game. And I've also been faithful to my Clash of Clans. What about you,
Yeah,
Nick?
I don't even think we have to say that at this point. I mean, we play Clash of Clans like nobody's business.
Yeah. Supercell, if you hear that, we're down for a sponsorship.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple gems, please. Anyways, yeah, so I've been, of course, playing that, but I really like playing Dead Cells, actually. Now, we kind of started playing it just because it's fun to try something out on Xbox Game Pass, but it's a really great game. I mean, it's just, I don't know, I like it a lot. Whoa, and I died so fast, but
It's growing on me.
it's a fun game. It absolutely has grown on me. I like it a lot. Could not recommend it enough. I feel like it's super fun. And, it's not really frustrating when you die, but I kind of have that expectation going into it, so I might think about it a little bit differently. I'm really looking forward to the Outer Worlds coming up. What about you?
I'm so excited. I've seen so many videos, and tomorrow it comes out. Especially to us.
This is probably pretty sad, but I didn't know that. Yeah, it's going to be on Game Pass though, right?
Oh yeah. So if you have Game Pass, you are in
because
luck.
Microsoft bought Obsidian. Oh, perfect. I don't have a bow and arrow anymore. Didn't even realize. Yeah, this game's a lot of fun, but it can be difficult. You guys probably hear our controllers. I don't know how frustrating that can be. I do apologize if you do.
I apologize for that as well. But hey, this is.
Ooh, dude.
Life.
Oh my god.
I don't know where I was going with that, so don't ponder into that.
Don't look into that very much. That doesn't mean anything. All right, so just kind of moving on. Looking forward to the Outer Worlds. Sorry, there's also a game called The Outer Wilds that confuses the shit out of me. But looking forward to the Outer Worlds, and I really want to be able to do a review of some kind at some point, and I would like for this to be it. But we'll see. We'll see, especially because we get to play it first on Game Pass. Well, I guess not necessarily first, but
with the early
at
adopters.
The release date.
Yeah.
This is rough, you guys. We're playing Dead Cells, and I'm playing the daily challenge, and let me tell you, it is exactly what it says. It's a damn challenge. I was about to curse pretty heavily, but let's leave that aside.
Lost.
So
where I'm going right now.
You never do. You never. I don't think you ever do in Dead Cells. A lot of fun though. Very, very, very fun. Game. It's funny because I usually get pretty frustrated when I die in games. I don't get super frustrated with Dead Cells, which I'm pretty pleased by.
Me as well.
Anyways.
It's a nice casual game.
Oh, Whoa.
No. Like,
So, anyways, oh my god, can they just make the enemies just a little bit weaker? That would make the game. That'd make the game not as fun and addicting though, probably, because it'd just be another game where you just whoop ass all the time. Anyways, so apart from Dead Cells and how good it is and how much we could recommend playing it, I really want to get a review out for the Outer Worlds. I think that'd be a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and that'd be a good first review for us.
Hands down, yeah.
And I think it'd be cool if we each give our own perspective on the game. If we could manage to do that somehow, cover half of the review each, and then maybe, oh god,
yeah.
oh my god, oh.
That's a really great idea, Nick.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna even bother with that.
shit.
That guy can kiss my butt. It's oh. Okay, so anyways,
What is that? What is that thing? Holy crap! Sorry.
something that kicks ass apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a terrible idea. I don't even think I can do the daily challenge today. I'm not gonna say that I'm amazing at this game, but I can play it. So I'm a little bit thrown that I can't even bother with the daily challenge right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and break in the episode here. So what we wanted to talk about, kind of first starting off, was the service model in games these days. And
Yeah.
here we are. You know what? I'm sorry. As I go on with that, I wanted to do a little bit of a housekeeping. So last episode we talked about the Google event, Microsoft's event. We talked a little bit about what Apple had with their iPhone event. And I just wanted to touch on that and say I really am getting the Surface Pro X. I'm looking forward to it coming. It should be here in less than 2 weeks. And I want to do an unboxing video review. I want to do some comparison videos with an iPad Pro. And I'm super excited about it, so I just had to talk about it again.
Yeah, I think we all are super excited for that unboxing. I know I am.
And if you guys can believe it, no, I'm just kidding. There's nothing to do. Well, anyways, so I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to it. I really want to get some more content on the channel. In addition to getting more content in the channel, though, I also kind of have I'm a little bit worried about it. I'm a little skeptical, and I kind of wanted to talk about my skepticism. I don't know. Other people may share it as well. I like the idea of the concept of the Surface Pro X, but I'm not sure how the execution is going to come out, because while I could tell that it's definitely going to be like a decent, well-made product, and that's certainly what Microsoft is going for there, I'm a little bit concerned about it because it runs on, it's going to run on a chipset that's essentially a really souped-up Snapdragon processor. I went for the boss a little bit too soon, you guys. It's a souped-up Snapdragon processor. It's assumed it's the 8CX. So the biggest problem with that is that, oh my god, I should just let myself die here. This is, dude, I wasn't aware that I brought myself on the boss battle this early. It's like, I don't know, it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. It's like bringing a potato to a gunfight. Oh god. So anyways, yeah, the guys showed me. So anyways, so I am really excited about it, but I'm a little skeptical. I'm worried about the fact that it's not an Intel chipset in there. I really hope that it has some good performance, but I'm also worried because I noticed that the chipset is based on ARM and not x86. And so for those of you that don't know, the x86 architecture is what Intel uses, and ARM is what you would have in like a Snapdragon processor from Qualcomm. And while Windows can run just fine on ARM, and there are programs that can be developed for ARM on Windows and can even be developed for ARM in a 64-bit fashion, it can run x86 based programs, but only in 32-bit. So x64 it can't run. And I'm looking, and there's some programs that are 64-bit only, which means I literally won't be able to run them. Yeah, so the compatibility is going to be an issue. And I'm not sure, I mean, I imagine that as time goes on, we're going to get more and more computers that have chipsets that are based on ARM. But it's really hard to tell, and this is kind of one of those flagship devices that is just bringing it into the fold.
Yeah, I'm surprised they went with that, honestly. They might, I feel like they have something bigger in play. Maybe there's some kind of contract or some kind of, partnership they have to where they're gonna.
Well, I think that they're just of the understanding that, as time goes on, that kind of chipset is going to be because it's in so many phones, and because Snapdragon is such a big manufacturer of these chipsets, I think that naturally over time we're just going to notice, you get better battery life out of those. Dude, this is ass. Oh my god, they gave me two horrible, horrible weapons for the daily challenge, and I can't help but just get my butt beat constantly over this. Anyhow, as I just get effing smashed in this game, I mean, it has me worried because it's going to be one of those first devices that runs that chipset. And there are a handful of other devices, but I think Microsoft is making a good move there, bringing a Surface out with it, if they support the Surface as they should. And the only reason why I have such a big concern with it is because if they don't bring the support like they need to with this first product, it's going to be really, really difficult to buy into and to suggest, and then I'm not going to feel very comfortable with it. But you get better battery life out of those products, you get better performance per watt, which is again better battery life. I think it has a better I want to say it has a better, what would you call it? I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of it. Well, yeah, I just said that, but
I just wanted to emphasize on that.
That's really important, you guys. Well, I think it has a better onboard graphics in some cases too, but the problem is that even if it has a better onboard graphics, that doesn't mean much if you can't use it to play games. A lot of games are based on the x64 architecture, so they're 64-bit. Like, I was really excited and wanted to get something like Cuphead. You can't get Cuphead on that machine as far as I can tell, at least not at launch. And I think Windows said they're working on a way to make those 64-bit apps work on something that's based on ARM, but it's hard to say. And like, they of course didn't go like, oh, we anticipate that to happen Q1 or something. I don't think they have any like hard set date for that. They just said they wanted to make it happen, so we'll see how it goes. I just wanted to touch on it and kind of voice my concerns and say I'm excited to see how it goes. We'll see, and if I don't like it, Microsoft has a pretty good return policy right now. I think if you buy anything from some date in October, I'm sorry, I'm not this as specific as I can be, you can return it all the way out to January 31st. So if I don't like it, then I send it back. If the pen is on top, I send it back. But if the salad is on the side, if the salad is on top, I send it back. So we'll see how it goes. If I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't like it, I'll probably switch it out for the Surface Pro 7. A little bit more of a dated looking product, but I think that it'll still be pretty good. But we can move away from that. Victor's obviously very, very concerned with the game. I was hoping he would ask me a bunch of questions about it, but he can't care less. Anyway, I'm not hurt or anything. It's not a big deal. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever.
I apologize. My ignorance is unforgivable.
It is. It is. But such is life. So, anyways, very importantly here. Took a hit to the face.
Yes.
You guys need to understand how consuming Dead Cells is and how good it is. But Nick, to break into the front. Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You so rudely interrupted me.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I wanted to ask, what did you mention that I completely spaced on? Because I want my voice heard, and I apologize.
Oh my gosh. All I was saying was I was hoping you'd ask me questions about purchasing the Surface Pro X, but of course you selfishly are playing Dead Cells and are unconcerned with my thoughts and feelings. As a genuine friend, I would expect for you to be.
All right, you know what? Okay, I am so concerned. You know what? And I'm glad you brought that up, because what you've done, you've brought me back to life. And I want to say that it's for the Surface. What are you most looking forward to in that operating system? Because it is a little something different than what you've currently had, because you're used to the iPad and the iPad architecture and whatnot. So are you willing to work with the trade-offs of having a Microsoft product such as a Surface compared to your iPad Pro?
I think so. I mean, it's kind of a trade-off, whichever way you swing it. So with the iPad, you can't really use a full suite of programs anyway, and with the, of course, why wouldn't stupid thing? Literally just gave me the same item that I collected earlier. So I think that you have trade-offs with either one. The thing is with the iPad, I think it's a lot more fun to use. And I mean, this is my thought process before I even have the Surface in hand. I think the Surface is gonna be a little bit more for work, and I think the iPad lends itself a little bit more to fun. That's not necessarily a problem. That's just the reality of it. And I think that probably makes the iPad a little bit more of an accessible product. But I think that, that said, of course, I don't make it out in time. I wanted that bonus, Victor.
Okay.
So anyways, yeah, I think the Surface lends itself a little bit more to fun. I don't know if you've gotten the bonus. You need the damn bonus.
Well, I've not gotten it, so I don't know.
Yeah, try to get through the first level. Yeah, that's important. This is an important pro tip, guys. Try to get through the first part of Dead Cells, the very first level that you start out in, within 2 minutes, so that you can get the bonus, because the bonus is pretty effing important. You want to try to get out of there as quickly as you can. That bonus is detrimental. Anyways, it means more than searching around the level. Get your ass out of there in 2 minutes. 2 minutes flat. It's a golden rule.
2 minutes flat. Oof.
So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've been able to do it pretty well so far, but this being the first round of the night, I'm not doing so hot. So, yeah, I think that you have trade-offs with either one. Both of them are kind of more of a tablet experience than they are a PC experience, but you have a full operating system on the Surface Pro X, which I think is cool. My bigger concern is that, it runs that ARM processor, or the ARM-based processor, so you're going to be limited in your apps. The thing is with the iPad, like, as cool as it's gotten, it doesn't have that same level of, multitasking as a real operating system, a real computer. Like, you'd have two apps up at the same time, but it also, that's the limitation. You don't have windows, you have apps. And it takes up some of them have to be full screen. Like, this is an example, this is probably a poor example, but like when I'm playing Clash of Clans, maybe I want to watch a YouTube video. Well, you can't do that at the same time. You can't even play Clash of Clans on a computer, so that doesn't help. But like if I'm playing Clash of Clans, I can't like put it to half the window and then share an app and be like looking something up at the same time.
Which you should be able to
switch apps.
I mean, theoretically, it would be awesome if you could, and it should be possible.
That's the thing. That's what I feel like would be really cool, even if it just made the window. Of course, it makes the window smaller and puts it in a little bit of a different form, but you should be able to do that. And to me, it's a little bit frustrating that you can't. But that's the idea too. Is like an iPad is a lot better than it ever has been. An iPad OS has helped it out tremendously. But I still think having a Surface will beat it out in terms of just the let's say the multitasking capabilities.
Okay. I want to see your opinion, if your opinion never sways from actually having the product, for maybe a month or so. I want to see if you feel the same exact way later on.
Right, how I feel after. Yeah, I agree. That is going to be interesting to see as well. And I will certainly talk about it, so we'll get really into the I don't know, the mud as it is.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get dirty in the
mud. So anyway, let's get to the episode then. I promise you guys that this is about technology and video games. So let's talk about games as a service. And when I say games as a service, I kind of mean particular games, but like the model that we're experiencing in 2019, the way that the landscape of gaming has kind of gone. I've noticed that a lot of games are built around being a service. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have good story modes. That doesn't mean that they're not good games to play. It's just a little bit different than it used to be. 6-7 years ago, you didn't see games like this. You saw a lot more single player experiences or wholly online experiences, and they only usually lasted about a year. It wasn't really games as a service. So just to give you
very short
some examples of what I'm talking about, Fortnite is an excellent example of a game as a service. It's continually evolving. You mentioned something about that we'll bring into in a second, but it's continually evolving. You get revolving gear. It's mostly cosmetics, so your character looks a different way while you play. It's a free-to-play model, so they're trying to get as many users in as they can. And then a lot of these games, too, which I didn't even think about until now, they try to extend themselves to the phone, such as Fortnite. Yeah. So it doesn't look as appealing. Like, it's not this, like,
masses.
Really realistic-looking game because it can play all the way down to the iPhone. And to a number of Android phones. So they're trying to make this as broad of a market as they possibly can get out to. Yeah. So that's what gets them, I think at one point they had like 40 million players. I don't know if it ever got higher than that, but that's a huge number.
I think I think that's a good business model. They're more focused on how many people can we expose to this game to get them hooked, because not only is that the entry point of building a fan base, but not everyone has a PC or what, something like that. They're going for those who have not had that kind of experience on a mobile device. Like, you wouldn't think of playing Fortnite on a mobile phone. Like, I mean, when you think of Fortnite, you think of it's like a legitimate game, right? It's not like a little mobile, not Snake or something, not Frogger, little mini cut down versions. It's quality games on those mobile devices, and I think it's key. You build a fan base up, and then you start exposing them to more and more and more. It says it all. They made so much money off that game, that concept, that whole new structure of gaming that all these other companies are following for. You're seeing an increase in Clash Royale, like Royale games. Battle Royale, I think that's what they're called. Yeah, these 50-player, 100-player online death matches that are just like increasingly popular. I mean, I play them too; they're awesome. But they're bringing so many new things to the table that we typically haven't seen, and I mean, their profits show for it. Their fan base shows for it. So
I kind of have. I think that you're going almost an opposite way that I would go, because in a sense, when it first started, like, let me put it this way. When Fortnite, the Battle Royale first came out, I was super excited. I got my friend into it, and we would play it all the time. We were just constantly on Fortnite. And I don't really think there's a huge problem with that. I don't think you should be that addicted to a game like I was. But at the same time, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of something new. It wasn't really something that was, it's not something that you got all the time. And yet, at the same time, it's turned into this thing that every game now is trying to do something where they have, at some point, I don't know if they're still doing it, but at some point, all these games were trying to create a Battle Royale mode, because they saw that there was a profitability from Fortnite, and they all thought that they could get in on the action. They all wanted to make Fortnite money. And, in addition to that, like, we had people who were like, oh, that was my dance move. Fortnite stole my dance move, and they got the hell suit out of them. People trying to sue them constantly because of how much money it was making. So it's clear that it was just a money-grabbing tactic when other companies tried to do it, because they saw how successful Epic was when they launched Fortnite. And, there's really no problem with that. Like, Call of Duty ends up being successful, so of course other games come out and they try to be a little bit more like Call of Duty because they're trying to make money. Yeah. And that's the nature of, the gaming market. You're trying to make money. I get it. But it starts to, at some point, it no longer feels like a game. It just feels like a product. Yeah. And that's my concern.
Yeah, that's a very valid concern. I feel exactly where you're coming from on that.
And anyways, so that's kind of like how I feel about Fortnite in general, and that kind of the games as a service model that people try to copy from each other. And there's a lot of instances that they try to copy from each other. One in particular is microtransactions and this whole idea of cosmetic items only. But you know, it used to be in games, and this is a really, you know, I think that this is a good point, but you know, other people might not. It used to be in games that you would get cosmetic items, you know, for playing the fucking game.
Earning it.
And yeah, exactly. You would just earn it in the game. So it was a feature of the game. It's a feature of the game that has been taken away from us, whether or not people want to believe it. Now that might be acceptable because we have to pay something into these games so that they can, you know, launch them for free or whatever, just like they do with Fortnite, right? But at the same time, like, you can't use that in a, you know, you can't say, oh, it doesn't affect the gameplay. It absolutely does affect the gameplay. Otherwise, people wouldn't give a shit about it and they wouldn't want it. But that's not how it is. People want this stuff to a degree that they're willing to pay money for it, you know? And it just goes to show people do want this. People are interested in paying for this, clearly. Anyways, I feel like that's kind of something to touch on, and I don't know. I don't know exactly how game designers can get around that. I mean, they obviously have to charge us for something. You can't just create a game for free and be like, okay, enjoy, guys. Well, what do you want for it? Nothing, just your enjoyment. Like, that's not how it works, and I get that. Oh, I died.
Yeah, because I mean, we have to understand too that as the
disappointing.
market's changing, people are changing. All these companies are going to try to find new ways on how to get more profits. Right? It's just natural. That's how every company works.
And yeah, you know, in addition to that, a really big thing that you're going to notice with this is that companies are going to see a method that works, they pick it up. And I kind of wanted to lean into the concept of, like, you know, it's the idea that loot boxes became extremely popular after Overwatch popularized it. Now, a lot of people get upset because they're like, Overwatch didn't make it. No, they didn't make the model. I don't even know who did make the model. But Overwatch popularized the model because you would get a loot box, you could pay money for them, and that's how they supported the game in launching new maps and bringing out new content, bringing out new characters and stuff, because people pay for loot boxes to get cosmetic-based items. And yeah, it doesn't necessarily affect the gameplay directly, but it affects the gameplay because it wouldn't, you know, if it didn't affect the gameplay, no one would buy them. Yeah. And that's just a fact. It does affect the gameplay. And the reason, you know, because we want to see our characters look a certain way, we see these cool skins and we like them and we want to use them.
Everyone wants to look like a badass. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And then there's certain skins that they know look better. They're a lot more elaborate. They have a lot, you know, there's a lot different to them.
I'm doing really great, by the way. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm doing really great, and I'm glad I'm recording my video.
He's just jinxed himself. That's it. He's gonna die soon, you guys. I'm not doing so great, so I'm actually relieved that you're doing the video this time because I'm just getting ass beating after ass beating right now, and it's pretty much embarrassing. Just if you guys are watching my stream, you would be you'd be like, whew, does this guy play video games regularly? They'd be like, man, did they give the controller to somebody that has no hands? Clearly he has no idea what's going on. They'd be like, they would just go, yeah, this is definitely a person that has arthritis playing right now. They're just incapable. Maybe it's just a person that doesn't know what a video game is, you know? Yeah. Just feel sorry for the guy.
What is this?
What is this? He's clearly asking himself that because he cannot play. Anyways, yeah, so I'm glad you're recording. It takes the pressure off me a little bit.
Anything I can help. Anything I can do to help. Sorry, that sounded completely wrong.
I got through the level a little bit too quickly there. Yeah, so anyways, well, I wanted to call out a couple other ones, you know, as fine examples of this games as a service model, where we have Red Dead 2, which has a really long, elaborate story and it's an amazing game. People really commend it for how good of a story it has, but it also has an online component. And the online component is what makes them the majority of their money. GTA 5 is another excellent example of a huge game, massive game, that ended up making Rockstar billions of dollars because it's got these microtransactions in their online function. I don't actually, you know, I don't hate the idea of how they do this. The reason why I don't hate the idea of how they do this is because it doesn't really affect me, because I like playing these games, story modes, and I'm not really into the online, so it doesn't really affect me, and I don't really have a problem with how Red Dead 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5 are structured, other than the fact that it kind of, you know, it scares me thinking that there's a chance that they just go, wow, well, we make so much money off the online component, we can start, you know, getting chintzy with the story mode. Maybe we'll charge money in there. Or the idea that they could be like, you know, maybe we don't need story mode. Maybe Grand Theft Auto could just be a fully online series. And that kind of worries me as well, because I don't want to see that kind of stuff happen. So we'll, you know, because we have games like Fallout 76, another great example. I'm going to use Fallout 76, Anthem, we also got Apex Legends.
Yep.
But Fallout 76 is another good example. You know, people want story from their Fallout games. Well, you're not getting story from your Fallout game. You're getting an online service-based Fallout game, which at initial launch too, I mean, this is another good point to talk about. At initial launch, that game was hot garbage. That game was getting like 5 out of 10 average scores, maybe 3 out of 10s in some cases. People were pissed. It was broken as shit. It barely had any content. It just sucked.
Yeah. On opening night, I pre-ordered it and I waited till midnight on the dot. I mean, obviously we all know it doesn't open. You know, sometimes it takes a little longer than, you know, that exact midnight hour. But I was waiting for like 2 hours. I was loading the game, constantly loading it, constantly crashing on me. It was a hot mess indeed. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Sadly, yeah, some people sadly know exactly what you're talking about, and it's a disappointment because they rely. I think that part of that is that some of these game companies rely too heavily on the idea of, okay, well, let's get it out of the launch window because we want to make our money now.
Yeah.
And then we'll fix it later, and we'll talk about it and bring some light back to the project when it's fixed, and then more people will come in, buy into the experience, or we can eventually go free to play, or we can eventually just really discount the price. And then people they'll come back, you know, and that's a terrible concept. You know, it's the reality of things, because it will happen.
Nowadays,
but still,
with all, the downfall started with online updates. I have to say it. The moment online updates became a thing, it became acceptable for these companies to release broken games.
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true, and it is super disappointing to see these games come out just broken as shit, and then for them to, you know, I just feel like it's just an excuse to bring out a broken game, because they come out, they bring you a broken game, and then they go, well, we'll fix it. Like, don't get your panties in a bunch. We'll fix it.
Like Halo was a huge one. When Halo Master Chief Collection. Yeah, my gosh, that was even worse than Fallout.
It took months.
Yes. You couldn't even get in parties with your own friends. Like, it took months to do that.
And that's a terrible thing that they did that. And I mean, you know, the reason why that kind of stuff happens is because they know that they can get away with it. They have that idea that they're like, well, you guys, we're just going to update. Don't worry, we'll update it. We'll update the game. And then, yeah, of course they do, but that part of it sucks. I don't care if you update the game. I wanted it to be good now. Why would I want it to be good later? I want
all
it to
that
be good
hype
immediately.
build up for when it releases, and you have to wait months to be able to play it the way you should be able to play it.
Just for it to be playable in the right fashion, exactly. And that's not cool. That's not a cool concept. That doesn't work well for me. That makes me pissed, and it makes games as a service look like shit. You know, because it's somewhat the model that game was. I think a lot of games end up sharing that concept now, unfortunately, just because that's just the nature of being in gaming today. Because, you know, because the capability exists, companies are going to use it. They're going to use that as a crutch, and they kind of can, because they're going to get away with it. They'll still sell millions of copies because we know that it'll eventually be fixed, and we're like, oh, it's too bad that it sucks now. It's too bad that it sucked at all. It's too bad that they couldn't do their job and put the game together correctly.
And it's our loyalty that's our downfall, which sucks. You know,
yeah, that's true too. I mean, that's a really good point, is that our loyalty does end up kicking us in the ass, because, you know, we were like, okay, well, we trust that you guys are going to make a good product, and then they went, whew, thank God they believed us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we might have had to try. And
there was a big push on pre-orders too. They were like, I think you remember this, Nick, too, where people were talking about, even if there's a game you want, don't even pre-order it because it just shows them that you're willing to give them money no matter what they give you.
No matter how it turns out, yeah. And I would say that's a good example for like Fallout 76. I'm sure that game pre-ordered extremely well because people saw it and they went, well, it's an interesting concept, an online Fallout game. I'll buy into that.
And
you buy into it.
I'm a victim.
I actually know a handful of people that bought into that game and then they end up just extremely disappointed. And unfortunately, it's like, well, what was shocking about it? I mean, you bought into a game early and then they bit you in the ass. Like, they and how could they release that game and not have seen it for what it was, just a tremendous piece of shit? And I don't really want to say, okay, well, their intention was never to create a good game. No, I'm sure their intention was to create a good game, but the problem is that you get into this idea of creating a game like this, it doesn't end up working out in the fashion that you were hoping, and then you still have to release it. You created the product, you still have to release something.
Yeah.
So, it just ends up that it just is what it is. So,
and I don't
know.
And it's so sad because I love Bethesda. I can't say I will not do that again. Even after this whole Fallout thing, I don't understand it. I just have so much hope.
I don't understand it myself, but I believe in them. I trust you, Bethesda. That's the concept again, though. Just like we were just saying, like, we trust these game companies implicitly. And unfortunately, because we trust these game companies so much, they end up taking huge advantage of us.
That is bullshit. I'm sorry, but I just died because I fell down the... Oh!
By the way, everybody's able to see that on YouTube.
I know. I lost 24 cells, dude.
I lost like 50 cells before this game.
Oh, never mind.
It'll get you.
Dude, I had such a badass weapon.
Dude, I got hella far. I feel like I was getting towards the end of the game.
Damn it! I'm so mad right now.
I never knew what the Nutcracker was. Now I'm pleased to say that I know exactly what it is.
Oh man, it's such good guns. Such good knives.
So, yeah, I had this thing, like a javelin, and it was phenomenal. Sorry, we have to talk about the game a little bit, guys. I'm sorry. I had this thing, the javelin, which was awesome. I loved that thing. It was so good. And, it's just, you lose that stuff, unfortunately.
There should be a perk or something that lets you keep your last weapons or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool, but then it kind of destroys the purpose of the game a little bit.
It's cool.
You know
I don't
how that
mind.
goes. Yeah, well, who cares? Enemies that hit you freeze. It's actually not bad. But the damage you take is inflicted on the enemy.
I feel like I'm a pro now.
So good.
I'm a pro at this game.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I enjoy playing it. It has really grown on me incredibly. This is such a fun game, and again, couldn't advise that you pick something up more. I think that it's a lot of fun, and I think that anybody that plays it is going to have a really good time. So, all right, let's stop playing for a second so that I can focus a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's just these games as service models, they kind of are irritating to me because it's not what we always grew up with. We grew up with getting complete games. I mean, back on the PlayStation 2 era, there was a problem with a game. Sometimes you'd have to ship your disc in, and then they would send you a new disc with an update on it because you couldn't just update it on the PlayStation Store. That's not how it worked.
And I do want to briefly mention this in San Andreas, the first version of the games. There was a particular thing on that game where you can do certain activities, and they patched it by releasing another version of that game. So if you have the first version of San Andreas,
I heard about that too.
Yeah, like you essentially have like a little Easter egg version of the game because there was no online updates or anything like that at that time.
And on a different note, there's also games where it was detrimental and you had something that broke the game.
Yeah.
And then you're just shit out of luck. unless you swap the copy. And I can't remember one in particular, but it's happened before. And that doesn't really happen now, which is the benefit of things. But because they have that capability, update games all the time.
The game you buy
take things away.
a year from now is probably not going to be the same game. Or I'm sorry,
I wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Well, a good example of that is like Rainbow Six Siege. I guess that game, I never played it, but I guess that game came out and it was abysmal. I think Fallout 76 is probably another good example too, though. Where you have a game that initially, and Fortnite had very sparing, like there wasn't a lot of content in that game to begin with. And all these games have grown because they're games as a service, and they just continue to grow because it's where the money is.
Yeah.
And so the developer wants to develop into that. And I feel like a lot of things with that kind of revolve around where we are today because, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013, right?
Yeah.
It's 2019. We don't even know if there's a sequel coming.
Well,
and
there was something I read about it. I guess the guy who voices Trevor, I forgot his name. But
irregardless,
yeah, he mentioned that GTA games take about 7 or 8 years to make or whatever. So I mean, it's this completely rumor, but I thought it was interesting. He was like, well, do the math, and then if you do the math, it's in time. I think it's like 2020 or 2021 in time for the next gen systems, which is obviously not a surprise. I mean, new GTA is not going to come on the current gen right now. It just doesn't make any sense. So, there's a little rumor mill there,
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'm not too shocked by that, right? I think that sounds okay, and that's it to be expected. But at the same time, it's like, wouldn't they have gotten us a game a little bit faster if they weren't working on the online structure and so on and so forth for these games? Because there's a big focus on that. So, of course, there's a lot of incentive to just keep working towards that, to keep bringing us more aspects of the online features of stuff. Like, why wouldn't you?
They have been great maintaining the online community, man. Like, I think recently, but
they do a good job. I'm sure that a lot of people care for that. But like that's to my point of just like, do you care more about having a better online function for Grand Theft Auto 5, or would you care to have a Grand Theft Auto 6? And some people don't care about online, so I'm not sure. True. We have these trade-offs, like, what do you want to see out of it? What do you think is a better trade-off?
Because if I'm not mistaken, this is the first GTA with an online aspect. I don't believe GTA 4 had an online area aspect at all.
Yeah, you know what? They did have an online aspect, but it was just being able to play the game with your friends.
Okay.
So, like, you and I could play the game together and just be in the same open world and, mess stuff up.
I stand corrected.
But
I am embarrassed.
But they have like heists and stuff in GTA 5, and then they have. I'm sure they have other online modes. I don't play the online. I'm not very concerned with the online. But anyways, all things considered, what we're talking about here, it's just we see these games where like, would you get a second game if the online service wasn't supported as heavily? And then we also see changes, to the way that things are brought out to us. Like, in some instances, I'm like, I never wanted a second game. Like Destiny 2. And for some reason, we got Destiny 2. Yeah. Instead of them just expanding heavily on the first game, like World of Warcraft did for like 10 years. And then move on. They, of course, don't do that. Anyways, but that's like what I wanted. But, we see other games like Fortnite, which is just going to expand on itself, and then they're like, here's chapter 2. This is basically the second game, but we're just going to keep expanding on the first one because of the popularity. Anyways, just something to think about there. I think we're going to see continually less of a focus on story. This is my thought process. I hope that I'm wrong. But I think we're going to continue to see less of a focus on story, and we're going to see a lot more focus on online features. And like, it's an expectation that something has an online component. And not everything's going to succeed in that, so I don't really care if something has an online component or not. I think that we kind of end up with a couple of benefits here, though, is that like, there's no online aspect to Horizon Zero Dawn, right? But it's an amazing game. They didn't bother making an online aspect to that game because they knew that it wasn't going to be popular. if they did make an online aspect, or they'd have to allocate too many resources to that. So what do? They just made a really, really, really good single player game. And then the same thing could be said about God of War, the most recent God of War for the PlayStation, and Spider-Man for the PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
These games are just phenomenal, but they don't have an online component, and they don't need an online component. That's the point. Now with that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, in those cases, I feel like an online aspect would kind of make it not the same. You know, it kind of, I don't want to say ruin it, but it wouldn't have the same impact it has as yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, that's exactly why I look at this and I say, that's exactly why I look at this. And I think in some ways it's good and in some ways it's bad because, like I just mentioned, you know, I think that because online has become the way that it is, the creators of, or the, you know, those who worked on God of War, the most recent God of War, probably were like, who cares about creating it online if we're not going to do it, you know, really exceedingly well? Why would we even bother?
Yeah.
So, you know, in a sense, I think that that's good that they just went, yeah, forget it. You know, let's not even bother. But then in another sense, I think that we end up getting like games that are fully meant to be online. Like, hey guys, here's Anthem. You know, here's Fortnite. Like, I hope you enjoy playing online because it's all you can do. You know, and some people don't like that kind of stuff. So I feel like those people, while they're getting good games out of God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn and Spider-Man, Days Gone is another good example of that. Of course, I'm only naming our PlayStation games though. But, you know, you have all these games that they don't have an online component, and so it doesn't, you know, muddy the water for the single-player experience. Although Red Dead 2 is a good example, and they do have a multiplayer experience as well. But, you know, all those things aside, I think that in some ways it helps, and in some ways it hurts, and I think you're getting fewer single-player experiences, even if they are better.
Yeah. I feel like they're kind of merging into a single-player as a multiplayer kind of thing, you know, with Fallout 76 and Red Dead, you got these open world, you know, areas where it kind of does feel like you're in a single player game. You're not always constantly next to players or anything like that. I mean, it's kind of like a mixture between a, you know, a single player story based game, but it's just with other players that you can interact with.
Yeah, sometimes they do stuff like that. I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying in terms of, especially in terms of Fallout 76, where, like, I mean, you technically could have a single-player experience out of Fallout 76, but it's not ever going to be the same experience that you would get out of, like, Fallout 4.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It's more tailored to the single-player experience. Like, I don't know how to word it. I feel like that's the wrong way of saying it, but you have a lot more interactive content as a single player in a single player made game. You know, it's a lot more tailored to your specific character rather than a character you create, and it just kind of merges over into something that you're yeah.
I don't really know where you're going with that, but maybe somebody out there does.
Yes.
Maybe explain it to me.
Please don't make me sound crazy. I know what I'm trying to explain. I'm just not doing it very well right now.
No, that's okay. I kind of get it. Sometimes you have something, like, you're thinking of something and it's really hard to explain, but, you know, there's a way it just only makes sense to you kind of thing. Or, you know, getting the words out. Somebody else has that same thought process, I guarantee, and they're like, I totally get what Victor's saying. Nick is crazy. He's an idiot. And then everybody else is like, Victor is out of his goddamn mind.
Yeah, this boy is, like, gone right now.
Yeah, so, let's see. Does it make sense to take that? No, the infantry grenades suck. So, anyways, maybe I should rephrase that. The infantry grenades can suck. If you like them, I'm sorry. Anyways, so yeah, I just kind of, you know, it's really tough because you know, this industry has been created from the online market, and or the industry has been shaped from the online market, and it's just kind of weird being in this time where I feel like games kind of some of them don't know what they are, and then some of them know exactly what they are, and I think some of them aren't enough. You know, I don't. There's some games like, and then at launch, a lot of games are just missing content, and I don't know. It's just really disappointing to me. So I wanted to share my disappointment with you. You know, that's all.
And I think a lot of our viewers, even myself, share that same frustration with that type of stuff. You know, it's not really fair to us. You spend $60 on the game, and you expect to have what was promised to you, but instead you're left with coming soon. You know, and that date's not always set. You know, there's coming soon, and then something happens. It's so uncertain compared to what you used to have back in the day when you got the product that you expected. No waiting, no locked content or whatever. You got what you wanted.
Well, yeah, they had to make you a full game. If you bought Ratchet and Clank back in the day, it wasn't. I mean, well, if you buy Ratchet and Clank today, it's still a full game, but. You know, there was no option to add a harder difficulty mode to God of War back in the day or to Spider-Man back in the day. Now, it's kind of a bad example because those are both really good games, and I think they stand even if they don't have the additional modes created for them. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I hope you don't care about having New Game Plus because they didn't give it to you when they launched the game. But nowadays, it's like, yeah, we didn't create New Game Plus, so it was a work in progress, and then we'll bring it to you at later. I also kind of think that, again, like I said, that's a bad example because what you're trying to convey is, I'm conveying the opposite. They add something that you don't necessarily need right away. And they're adding something later that just helps add to the game. But, you know, should that content have been included right away? Should you have got that content right off the bat? And that's probably a really good question to ask. And I don't know if we have an answer to it. I don't know if anybody has an answer to it.
And what
but
about
it's a good question to ask.
And I did want to bring up Anthem as well. Anthem is a really big one.
It's an amazing game brought out by some of the best publishers in the industry, EA. They're not in the market of shutting studios down. No matter what anybody tells you, don't listen to them. They're probably from one of the studios that got shut down. They're just haters. Sorry, you know, I just gotta be there for my boy, EA. One of the best game makers in the industry. In case you guys don't understand, this is total sarcasm.
Nick is dying inside as every word he speaks right now.
Yeah, EA can kiss my ass. I'm not a big fan of EA. I'm not gonna say like that. There's never gonna be a game that comes out from them that I'll enjoy. 'Cause there probably will be a game someday. But all they do is kick themselves in the ass and kick the players in the faces that buy their games, and it just sucks.
I had so much hope for Anthem. I actually made Nick get it. So we both.
I bought an Xbox One for this game. I'm playing an Xbox One S that I wouldn't have had, or I'm sorry, Xbox One X that I wouldn't have had if it weren't for that game. You know, the Xbox I don't have a problem with, but that game can go to hell.
And you know,
they never fix it. They never give a shit. Nobody cares. Anytime they made it relatively good, they're like, "Oh, sorry, that was an accident. It actually might have to be worse."
Yeah, I am so sorry, but then I'm so not because it gave Nick.
Now I get the glory of Game Pass.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have it if I didn't. So, well, anyways, yeah. So there's a little bit of a benefit from that. Well, you know, I kind of wanted to mention, as we're kind of leaning on this pretty hard, I'm pretty sure that this is becoming fairly long, but I really wanted to talk about how, as well, that we got two things from this. Let's go ahead and talk about loot-based stuff first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like a lot of these games, you mentioned it to me earlier when we were creating the notes for this, and I guess I want to get your opinion on it first because you came up with it, but, like, What's your stance on that? Like, how do you feel about all these games that are just based so heavily on collecting things and having a bunch of quote-unquote loot?
I don't really like it. You know, call me old or whatever. I just like... I like where you used to be able to earn things. You know, it gave you a sense of pride. It gave you something that the games nowadays that have these loot, you know, these special, you know, options, these special, you know, loot options. It just, you don't get the same kind of satisfaction that I used to get with games that where you actually had to earn something or you had to work for it. It's different. Nothing against people who's willing to pay for it. I mean, good for you, but I feel like there should be separate. I'm sorry, I'm facing something really weird right now, so kind of like half here and half not. But I feel like there should be content that specifically. Oh, I just died, so it makes it easier. So there should be content that specific to you. Like if you beat the game an expert or whatever like that, you earn something that's unique to you that cannot be bought. That kind of holds like value. I feel like this whole loot thing, it's cool. I mean, I get it. They're trying to make money and whatnot. It just it takes you away from the game. I feel like all these challenges and all these things that games before, or maybe some do, but where they'd make you do these things that you wouldn't normally do. Like check all the crates in level 3 or something like that.
I think a good example of that is the first Destiny, because I understand what you're saying, where you're like, collect 10, whatever the hell, collect 10 of this stupid thing that you should never have to collect, and that doesn't make the game fun. They're like, this thing sucks, nobody goes and gets it because it sucks. Nobody wants to go bother getting it, nobody ever likes doing this, it sucks, everybody has a heart, again, nobody enjoys this. You don't get any enjoyment out of doing this part of the game. Now get your ass out there and do it. Go spend some time in our game. Go waste some time. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. It's irritating. We put it that way.
And just as you were, I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but just as you were saying that, it reminded me of that movie Ready Player One. Or it kind of like, if you haven't seen it, I'm not gonna spoil it. But it has a really good message to it.
Spoil it. That movie's not really that new.
Oh, yeah, but okay. I'm just going to spoil it. So spoiler alert, super spoiler alert. If you're listening, then just skip forward.
If you're one of the few people that really were dying to see Ready Player One and then somehow just never did.
But I think you're a gamer. I mean, gamers would watch it. Even if you're not a gamer, I think
you've
probably still watch
already
it.
Seen it, so just go for it.
Okay, so
spoil the shit out of it.
Basically, it's about creating games for fun, not making everything. I'm completely butchering right now, so please forgive me. But essentially, it's about like making games for fun and not overcomplicating it with all these little things. It's bringing games back into the days where people played it and actually enjoyed it, instead of having to deal with all this unnecessary stuff. You play games to kind of escape from reality. It's kind of like a nice, forget about my weak ass, boring ass day job because I talk with stupid ass people all day. Excuse my language, by the way.
But I get it. I kind of, so you're kind of saying like, why would you want to get onto a game just to do chores again?
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Exactly, that concept.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, it really, I totally understand what you're saying, and it can be above and beyond frustrating, that kind of stuff, because that was exactly what was wrong with Destiny 1. Time to get on the game and to go farm resources. That was one of the challenges, and I think that they even did that in Destiny 2. Go do 3 missions on the moon. And you go to the moon, they're like, go to this area and stand in this spot for 30 seconds, mission complete. Go to this area and fight 3 waves of enemies, mission complete. Go to this area and take a picture of the lamp to the left of the rock. Like, it's always like something stupid, and they go, okay, here's your daily bonus, now you can go buy weapons. And you're like, fuck, why did I have to do that? Like, why couldn't I just play the game? Why can't I just enjoy playing the game? It's different. Like, challenges are different from that, because there's just like this daily task that just, it's like, it really is like that. Here's, do the laundry, here you go, here's your gold coin. And it's irritating, because I don't mind challenges where it's like, play 5 matches of Crucible. Okay. Win 2 matches in whatever, Hidden Valley or something like that, in the Hidden Valley map. And you're like, okay. And like, that's not that bad. That's what I expect from a game. But I don't want to do these stupid daily bonus challenges and stuff. Get get free V-Bucks for doing blah blah blah. Like, that's bullshit. Now I have to do some arduous task that like nobody even wants to do. It's not even fun or enjoyable. They may as well say like, leave us your feedback. Write us a review. Whatever, something stupid like that.
And I think they do that to keep your attention in the game because they don't know what else to do. Like, hey, while we're working on, so-and-so expansion that's going to come out in 2 years, let's give them something to kind of ease them on through.
Yeah, it's pretty good and pretty accurate point. Is that is exactly what they're doing. They don't know what to make us do in the game. So instead of like giving us a real thing to do, they of course are like, have them hop 3 times over that mountain. How long does it take to get to the mountain and back? 20 minutes. Perfect.
Exactly.
But, well, anyways, apart from that, I kind of wanted to mention. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan on loot-based games either. Just like you mentioned, it's not really my. It's not really what I get excited for anymore. I think it was exciting in the days of like, let's say Borderlands, right? When the first Borderlands came out, when Borderlands 2 came out, the game was based around the concept of getting loot, but it also, you couldn't pay for anything. So I feel like it was a different type of structure. I heard that Borderlands 3 isn't very good. Well, I should rephrase that. I heard that Borderlands 3 was okay. And I'm not interested in picking it up because of that.
I'm so sad I did not pick it up. I love Borderlands.
I'm not sad about it. I heard that it's just an okay game, and to me that's disappointing. I don't want to play an okay game.
I'm gonna open up a can of worms right now because it just came to me. These new games that are coming out, 2019, whatever. Do you feel like visually they look good, but what do you think is missing for it to become a good game? Like, is there substance? Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
We have two. Yeah, I can try. We have two problems, I think, with this. Where we have the issue of substance. So I think that, just like you mentioned, we have these like little tiny tasks where it's like go on this corner of the map and do something here and talk to Bill, and then go all the way on the other corner of the map and then deliver Bob what Bill had to give you. It's a fetch quest or something stupid, right? And they have us do things like that because that gives you something to do in the game, even if it isn't really like, it's really hard to explain, but it gives you something to do in the game so that it can avoid actually making content for you. Instead of being like, oh yeah, you can go through all these brand new rooms that you've never seen before and fight all these enemies that you've never seen before in a part of the map that's brand new to you. That requires a lot more like work. So instead they go, we made this big fat open map and we just have you keep going to different areas in the map over and over and over again. You're going to just retread the same path over and over and over again, and we're going to have you do the same missions over and over and over again because it's easy. That's easier to develop a game. Ubisoft can keep bringing you this Assassin's Creed every year or every other year because they do that. Now, I'm not saying that Assassin's Creed is a bad game, but they do things like that too. They make a sandbox, then they put a bunch of shit in the sandbox, and they go, okay, find all the shit, and then that's part of the game. Then that's what gives you stuff to play and stuff to do. Now, I heard that there was a lot of stuff to do in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I don't want to try to knock the game too hard, but like Watch Dogs is a really good example of that. Watch Dogs, I don't think, was like a particularly fun game. It felt like I was just doing a series of chores over and over and over again, and
yeah, I would agree with that. I
didn't even feel like it looked like a unique world.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Because it's just repeated tasks that just don't feel interesting. I don't know how Insomniac made it feel so much different, but like in Spider-Man, there's like, it feels a little bit more like a living city. So you'll be jumping around trying to get to the next like mission, which is a unique mission, and like it takes place in different parts of the city, but the city feels a lot more crafted. And then there's experiences inside buildings and stuff, so you end up like going to areas that you haven't seen yet. So it just feels everything about that game feels really fresh, almost fresh to a point where, or almost old school and fresh at the same time, because it's kind of feels more like the older Spider-Man games, just updated visually and then, you know, mechanically. But Spider-Man's a really good example of like everything feels fresh and good and new, and it makes sense. And I think God of War does a really good job of that. I think Horizon Zero Dawn does a really good job of that. I'm just gonna keep calling out games that I've already called out. Dead Cells is also a really good example of this, and which kind of leads me into talking about indie games. I never played indie games. I was like on PS3, I almost never touched an indie game. I just didn't care. Now that we're on PS4, I feel like I play indie games all the time because these games don't have like online components most of the time. And if they do have online components, it's like, what's your score compared to everybody else's score? Right? And so I get super into indie games. Hold on, shout out. Dead Cells is great. Play Dead Cells, especially if you have Xbox Game Pass. And I would almost go as far to say that it's worth the $25. It's certainly worth it if you get it on sale. But
I mean, yeah, and this is not your only option. I mean, this is just a really great casual. This is my second time playing it, and as you can see, I'm having a freaking blast playing it.
It's super fun. It's. I remember seeing a bunch of reviews and stuff and thinking that it looked too hectic for me, but it really isn't. But I want to shout that game out because there's no microtransactions in it. Guess what? You buy the game, you get the whole game. It's amazing. I love that concept.
Say that again.
That's why we're shouting out. That's why I keep shouting out
the
the same games, because you get the game and then you just have the damn game.
Exactly.
You know. Anyways, apart from that though, it's like there's so many indie games don't do that. So many of these indie games don't have all these stupid microtransactions. They feel a lot like they have a lot more heart in them. I feel like somebody really worked hard to make this stuff for you.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley, another great example, also on Game Pass. Hollow Knight, another great example, also on Game Pass. Hollow Knight is phenomenal. And you know what, Victor? Next time, we should play Hollow Knight together. The next podcast, let's play Hollow Knight together, and I'll do the gameplay.
But we'll have to play
Hollow
that
Knight.
One game that we did mention earlier too, because it does come out soon too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we should try to bring a review out if we can.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. By the way, guys, we would really love to like fill the YouTube channel with stuff. Victor and I both have full-time jobs and other things going on in our lives, like wives and girlfriends and stuff. Ugh. Anyways, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Anyways, so but we still want to bring content, and not just the podcast. We'd love to bring like reviews and stuff. So I think we're gonna try to do a review of The Outer Wilds. We've mentioned it earlier as we're doing this podcast, but like it'd be cool to do a trade-off of like, you know, you do part of the review, I do part of the review.
Yeah.
Give our opinions on it. I don't know how a rating system will work, so you and I will have to figure that out separately. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just to go back to what we were saying, I really love just getting into the indie game scene and trying to see what's out there, and I like trying new stuff. Anything that I hear is good, I like to try to, you know, get on Game Pass and pick it up if it's there, or pay for it if I see it on sale. I can't for the life of me believe that I even bothered getting Hollow Knight. And my girlfriend knows that I never play games like that ever. And then I saw Hollow Knight, and for some reason I was like $7.50 or something like that on the Switch, and I just picked it up. And I was like, wow, this is about the best $7.50 I ever spent in my life. That game is so fun, and I'm dying. Team Cherry, please. I know that you're not hearing this. I know that barely anybody is hearing this, but please hear my plea. I need for you guys to finish Hollow Knight Silksong, or just give us a fucking launch date. Give us a release date. I see the gameplay. It looks so good. It's a follow-up to Hollow Knight. It's another character in the series. And they're going to make a follow-up to Hollow Knight called Hollow Knight Silksong. I'm dying for that game. I'm desperate to get that game. And there's no release date. Anyways. So
That's the worst, man, when you're waiting for something and you know it's coming, but you just don't know when.
you don't even know when. Yeah, that's the worst part. Sometimes, I only have like 8 or 9 days or something like that until the Surface Pro X gets here, and I'm still like just foaming at the mouth. Like, when is it gonna be here? Please! Oh my God!
We need to know.
Oh, it's not November 5th yet.
Yeah, we need to know when to blow off our bills to buy the expansion. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you're saying. You know, when I'm not gonna save for it, but
Or to charge it, I guess better yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good move. I'm gonna have to get that mutation. Anyways, so, well, let's move on and get through this podcast so we don't make it more than an hour and a half for those who do choose to listen.
Yeah. You
I think
apologize
we're going
about
pretty
the
long.
pause. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoy, but I love long podcasts. 2 hours is too long for me. Hour and a half feels good. Hour's okay. Feels short. But anyways, I just kind of want to move forward and talk about. I don't want to get too into it, but let's talk about the subscription services that are coming out and what it means for the industry. So, Stadia is kind of there, but I don't think that that's the best example. You know, I know that you can get like a premium service of Stadia. I believe it's going to cost $10 a month, and that gets you like the 4K streaming. And then I think that you end up getting free games and a subscription through that. But the only reason why I bring that up is because you have Stadia that does that. You have PlayStation Plus where you get free games every month. Mm-hmm. You have Xbox Live where you get free games every month. You also have PlayStation Now, which is $60 a year. You have Xbox Game Pass, which depending on how you want to do it can either be $10 a month or it can be $15 a month if you bundle in gold, which, let's be honest, that's the best deal. You can also get EA Origin or Access, whatever they call it. And then you can get Apple Arcade. And that's for the phones and the tablets, so it's kind of separate, but again, a subscription-based model.
Yep.
Ubisoft is coming out with their subscription-based model. If they haven't already, it's coming out soon. We have all these subscription services, and I mean, like, you and I don't know that much about them in particular, but I feel like there's a lot more incentive to buy into these services and then just have this amazing back catalog of games instead of even buying games. I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't bought a game recently. I haven't even thought about buying a game recently because I have all these games to play on Game Pass.
I did
just
buy a
Game
game
Pass
somewhat recently. It was a couple months ago. But let me tell you about that. You actually told me, I've been wanting to get The Last of Us for the longest time. And you told me that, hey, wait for a PlayStation
Terrible game,
sale.
But I love it for some reason. No.
Yeah, you told me to wait for a sale, so I waited and waited, but I saw it on sale at Best Buy for like $20, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pick it up. Next month after that, it is free on PlayStation Plus. So I have learned my lesson.
Perfect. The way things should be.
Just wanted to mention that.
Oh no, I know what oh shoot, you can't go back in Dead Cells. That was really important. I've definitely killed myself here. Oh my
You didn't
God.
refill your health vial, did you?
No, I refilled my health vial, but I didn't oh, that's so stupid. Whatever. I'm in Silt Village or whatever, and it is detrimental that you not screw up here, and of course it's just the enemies get way harder here. I don't know if you've been to this area. It is rough, man. It's hella rough here, and I can't, like, I feel so stupid for having come here and not upgraded my gear first. I love that you have to spend all your cells, though. You can't accidentally save them. That's a little bit of a saving grace for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a random boost. Can't complain about that. So anyways, yes, yeah, you picked up The Last of Us, you were saying.
Oh yeah, that was it. I just picked up The Last of Us, and I realized I spent money that I didn't need to spend, because if I waited one more month for a game, I've not even taken out the wrapper yet. It's still in the wrapper. I could have left it at Best Buy. I did not have to buy it then. But yeah, just a life lesson for you guys. If you feel like there's something you want to pick up and realistically you know you're probably not going to play it anytime soon, just give it a wait. See what happens. It might be free on PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a really good disappointing point. That's something though that like, see, that's a really good thing to talk about, and I almost regret talking as much as we have about other things in this podcast, because there's so much to like dissect there, and one really big thing for me. Okay, so let's say, I just want to say like, I have an idea of picking up a game just like you did. I'm thinking about getting The Last of Us, right? And then, well, let's rephrase this. Dragon Quest is a great game, and I already bought it. I haven't taken it out of the wrapper. Now, I played the demo. It's great. A lot of reviews came out. It's awesome. And I know that I'm going to have fun with it when I actually crack it open. Or I think I peeled the plastic back, put it in the PlayStation one time, downloaded all the updates and everything, but I never turned it on. I've been sitting on this game and sitting on this game. Now, I got it for $30. It's not the worst case scenario. But at the same time, one day, watch, it's going to come to Game Pass soon. Or, I'm sorry, it can't come to Game Pass. That game's not on Xbox. I'm sorry. Anybody that heard me say that, I'm sorry. It's not possible. I'm sorry.
Hang him. No.
We make mistakes. Which? So anyways, yeah, so that game, but that's a good example. Never mind. Here's a perfect example. I have Devil May Cry 5. I have it for the Xbox. I played maybe 3-4 hours of it. Then I stopped playing it for a while. Then it came to Game Pass. Now it doesn't even matter that I have a physical copy of it because it's on Game Pass. Buying it for $60 meant nothing. I shouldn't have even done that. And now, I'm deterred from buying games because why would I do that? I have Game Pass. I almost bought Dead Cells. It came to Game Pass. I almost bought Hollow Knight on my PlayStation as well as having it on the Switch, but then it came to Game Pass, so now I just got it on the Xbox. And I'd rather just have it on the Xbox because I wanted to be able to record gameplay. I don't have anything to record gameplay other than the console itself. So anyways, yeah, it makes me so disappointed to buy a game, see it pop up on Game Pass, see it come up for free on PlayStation Plus. Another good example, I almost bought, what is it? Darksiders 3. That came to PlayStation Plus. I'm so glad that I ended up not buying that game because now I get to play it as part of my PlayStation Plus subscription. But see, this is where I'm asking myself, like, there's so many of these subscriptions. I don't know how many I should be buying into. I don't even know if I should buy into too many of them. Do you buy into one? Do you buy into all? You know? We have PlayStation. You and I have PlayStation Plus. Yeah, I mean, I would say buy into at least one because it's worthwhile. But, I mean, actually, that's a good point. Maybe don't buy into any and then just buy the games that you want and just completely ignore them.
I wouldn't recommend that. Buy into all of them.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that either, but it's like a lot of people who are listening probably have PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, which means that they automatically are getting some form of free games. They might not have Game Pass, they might not have PlayStation Now. I think I would advise those games the highest because with EA Access, you're only going to get EA games. With the Ubisoft thing, you're only going to get Ubisoft games. But with Game Pass, you have all kinds of games to choose from. With PlayStation Now, you have all kinds of games to choose from. PlayStation Now is really beefing itself up. You can get it for $60 a year now. I think it used to be $100 a year, right? When you first got your PlayStation Now was $100 a year. And I think it was like yeah, I think it was absurd too. I think it was like $20 a month if you just wanted to pay for it monthly, which is absurd. But PlayStation Now is completely different now. And for $60 a year, I could have PlayStation Now, versus for $10 a month, you get Xbox Game Pass. And I wonder if that $5 savings a month, technically, when you get to the end of the year, if the PlayStation Now is more worth it because of that. And then I almost want to review the services in a sense, like if you and I did maybe we could do a comparison video sometime. I don't know if I want to buy into PlayStation Now, but I might. That way we could just do the comparison video talking about what's better, Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Now.
Isn't there a free trial too? Maybe we could do it for a month, crunch time month.
Oh, that's a really good point. I feel like paying for it has a little bit of a different feel though. Because like if I were to advise like, hey, what do you think of the Xbox One X? Well, if I just played it at a friend's house, I'm going to have a different opinion as to whether or not I own it. It's a little bit different because I get the concept. Like even if we have a 7-day trial, like that's probably enough to give us an idea of what you can get out of it now. But still,
I see what you mean. Our viewers deserve the best and the truest answers. So.
Yes, exactly. We will. Look, we're willing to make the sacrifices and spend every dollar we have, you guys.
Yes.
We will make that sacrifice. We will plunge ourselves into debt buying Surface Pro tablets, PlayStation Now. Well, every new game, quitting our jobs. Nick, I feel like you're going a bit far. I'm not going far enough.
These people deserve the best.
The 4 or 5 people who are listening to this deserve exactly what we're gonna give them. The best of the best. We will beat every other YouTuber. Okay, I'm gonna shut the podcast off now, you guys. He needs to calm down.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die by these.
Anyways, yeah, just I asked myself, what's the best? What makes the most sense? Is there, are we like, what makes the most sense? Do you buy into all of them? Do you buy into one of them? If you're buying into more than one, are you spending too much money on it? It's just things like that are good questions to ask, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is entirely, and I think a lot of people have those questions these days. I almost feel like, in a sense, like it's almost cooler to get somebody a service for a gift for like the holidays, to get them like a card for service, as opposed to, I almost killed myself there. And then I redeemed myself.
I just want to state, if you hear purring, I apologize. My cat is being very clingy, so yes.
You know how those cats be.
The cat. You know how these cats be. Nick, you are hilarious, sir.
I gotta go through these doors everywhere. I got a cat too. He's overly clingy. I feel like male cats are very. They're just so lovey. They can't. They're like, please touch me. Please play with me. Please. I am desperate.
Desperate for attention.
Yes, I have not known affection for the last 30 minutes. Please.
30 minutes. Gosh, you're good. More like 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just like the same concept of like, my God, the food bowl's half full. Starvation will set in soon.
I cannot die. I got some really good weapons right now. I need to get out of here.
Beat the game, Victor.
Can you really beat this game? Is it possible?
Yeah. I think there's an end to the game.
Oh gosh.
Is there? Yes, sure. There's an end to the game. There's an end to everything.
As it came, it then ended.
There's an end to everything except for Walking Dead. That shit's never gonna end.
I'm still finishing up.
That they announced it.
I'm finishing up on it. I'm on the last season.
I remember you were watching that when we were still in the same office together.
And I'm still not done with it. I'm on the last season though, so I'm getting close. I know I'm hecka late. Okay, I know everyone. I'm hecka late to the party. I know, but it's better late than never.
Do I really want to do this? This is dangerous as hell. I don't even think I can. I fought to get to a chest, but then like it gives you that curse, and like of course it gives you amazing stuff. I get that, but it really sucks when you get amazing stuff, but then you just completely crushed.
I'm gonna be really mad if I die at some point. I just got a really good dagger set, and now I got a really good bow.
I love the bows in this game. I actually didn't think. Have you used a shield yet?
I've not.
You have got to use a shield. You're gonna want to like make that your mainstay.
Really?
Because you could parry people's attacks. So like even when they jump at you, if you press for the shield at the right moment, you parry them, and it usually like stuns them or does something awesome. You're gonna want to get it. Just trust me when I say that. So give it a shot with the shield. Anyways, I don't want to say that's been it, but we should probably wrap it up pretty soon. We're really going long. I hope people like 4-hour podcasts.
Yeah, it's not for us. It's for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Just know that. Just be aware. We're doing this for your benefit. So, let me push this along here so we can polish this shit off.
Yes.
Please. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, asking questions about I just have concerns about those subscription services. I feel like people are paying into them so much at this point. If you have all these subscription services, you're basically paying the cost of a game a month anyway.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like my concern would be trying to save yourself as much money as possible. And honestly, I think having 2 services probably covers you pretty well.
Netflix for games, people. Netflix for games.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. And it's actually cheaper than Netflix, and more entertaining. And there's less garbage. I don't know if I've gone through all the good stuff on Netflix or not, but it certainly feels like it. That is a story for another time. Now, let's wrap things up, and I just wanted to kind of cover... I really don't know where to go with this, but I feel like I need to express my opinions because, it's important, but I think you might know where I'm headed with this. So, recently, and I don't really want to talk about the political aspect of it because, regardless, I mean, we could talk about that all day we want. Outside of this podcast is going to be apolitical if we can help it, but, Blizzard did something... let's just call it questionable, where a player by the name of Victor needs to take a short intermission to get his cat away from him. So I'll explain the situation because you already know what's going on, but for those listeners and viewers, a guy by the name of Blitzchung won a Hearthstone contest, said something like "Free Hong Kong." Blizzard, of course, banned him because why wouldn't they? They didn't have any rules against it, but they do now. I don't know if they do now, but they banned him for a year.
Oh my god, I am so done with this.
Just stand on the screen for a second. Talk to me, buddy. Tell me about that family. Tell me about that loot you just lost. So,
we're you've done this before, I'm sure.
I've done this. I've gone through it. It's heartbreaking. And then you go, damn, now I have to come back even stronger than before. You'll play again.
Oh my gosh.
So, anyways, moving right along, they banned Blitzchung for a year. They take his earnings. The 2 casters of the event for Hearthstone are fired. They went way overboard. Obviously, there was huge critical backlash. Yeah, I don't even care who you are. That's overboard. I don't even know why they thought that was acceptable at all. So I don't know what they did with the casters. I have no idea. But Blitzchung, they changed his ban to a 6-month ban. Still unacceptable. I don't think they should have banned him at all. They don't even have a rule against what he did. And honestly, it's not that bad. Then they gave him his earnings back.
You just make a new email, new subscription.
Oh my god.
Don't know who you are.
They've somewhat righted the wrongs, but of course he's got a sour taste in his mouth because of it now. Says he might not come back to compete professionally in Hearthstone. Of course, he's got to take a 6-month break, so now he has all this time to evaluate whether or not he does want to come back. I don't know. Just to give a brief thought on this, I'm really disappointed in Blizzard for pulling that move, and a lot of people think that it's because they make a good revenue from China. China's a communist country. They could ban Blizzard products from China if the wrong things happen, such as what happened with Blitzchung. So obviously I think that Blizzard was afraid that they were going to get banned in China, which, would be disappointing and they lose some revenue. But honestly, they're an American company. Guy didn't do anything wrong. I don't know where all the fuss came from, but there's been some critical backlash.
Tensions are high.
And that's kind of what I wanted to talk on.
Tensions are high.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's other companies doing this as well, in this same vein for the reason of China. But I want to talk about specifically, like, what kind of grinds my gears in this is Blizzard's reaction to it all. And I don't think that it's right what it is. First of all, I don't agree with their decision from the very beginning. I don't even agree with their decision to alleviate the ban to 6 months and then to give him his earnings back. That's BS to me. Doesn't matter. I don't even know why they think that that's acceptable. They should remove the ban entirely. Shouldn't have even done it in the first place.
Completely agree with you.
But other than that, let's, moving past that, do you think that we as gamers can make an effective impact on these companies by voicing our concerns? Do you think it's more important that we kind of protest? Now, I'm not saying... I want to be very explicitly clear. I'm not saying specifically for this thing that Blizzard just did. Now, if you don't want to have anything to do with the way that Blizzard reacted, then kind of follow suit by not buying their products and voicing your concerns to them in the different outlets of which they will pay attention to you in. That's my thought process on it. But I'm wondering if you think that there's one way that's more effective, Victor, or if you think that it even matters. Do you think these companies care? Do you think enough of us do it to make a difference? And I'm talking, let me also give another example that's inherently not political.
Okay.
So, Bethesda updates Fallout 76, but they're not doing a very good job with it. They don't care. It's obvious that they don't care or whatever, so people get mad. They make a decision maybe that you get less gold from doing something, or your payouts just aren't as good. Anthem's a really good example of this, where EA every time they would update the game, it's like they made it worse. I don't know why they kept doing that. And then they also have these things too where they're like, hey, we're getting rid of the roadmap, we don't know what we're doing with this game anymore. And then you got backlash from that. So you have people who don't want to buy their games or don't want to pay into it. And then they want to voice their concerns on different outlets of which EA is going to pay attention to. Do you think that's effective? Do you think one way is more effective than the other? Do you think they even care?
I don't think they care. I mean, I don't think they care.
I think they care enough to respond to it. Like,
Yeah.
hey, just in case it alleviates someone from being upset.
Well,
I think they care enough to respond, but I don't think they care enough to do anything.
Well, let me rephrase it. I guess you could say, I think they care when it becomes a big political, or when it becomes a big thing for them. If it's something that's not publicized, I don't think they're gonna respond to it, because they don't necessarily have to. Because hey, who's gonna listen to the average Joe? Unless some of the bigger people are involved, where they'll have some risk involved into it. So I mean, I don't think they'll respond until it gains some traction with some high influencing people. I think it's very sad that companies have kind of
That's kind of what we're in now.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has their own opinion, and I feel like they shouldn't be punished for that. Especially in this case, I don't know the 100% facts about this, so don't quote me on this. But from what I've heard in regards to this, I definitely agree with Nick on that. It's definitely not. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think they should really be getting involved with something political like that. It kind of leads me to think that there's some kind of.
I know that there's an ulterior motive kind of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the gamers have a bigger voice than what they think they do, and I feel like if we kind of band together, I feel like I'm leading a
fight.
Speech in front of
lead the
everyone,
resistance, Victor. Tell us what we're supposed to do, oh great sage.
We must speak.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think I certainly want to mention, like, if you have concerns to voice, don't think that I'm not being listened to, so why even bother. I think that you should always voice your concerns, and I think that you should. I think that the most important thing, the thing that I want to mention, very much so, is remember to vote with your wallet. Everyone, remember to vote with your wallet. It is so important. It makes such a big difference. If they lose players, if they lose Overwatch players, if they lose subscription, I'm using Blizzard as an example. I'm sorry, Blizzard, if you feel attacked, but maybe don't do this shit. But if you don't pay for loot boxes in Overwatch, and you ordinarily do, if you stop playing the game entirely, if you delete your subscription to World of Warcraft, guess what? They have to pay attention now because they're losing revenue because of a decision that they made, right? And so, they will, damn well they're going to pay way more attention because of that. They, of course, will pay more attention because they have to. It's now a requirement. They're losing money. They need to address the subject. That's what they're most afraid of, these companies. They're most afraid of losing revenue. So if everybody that got Anthem said, oh, you guys don't want to update it, you guys don't give a shit anymore, okay, fine. And then everybody just dropped Anthem, stopped playing it, nobody bought it again, all of a sudden EA has to pay attention. They got to fix what they screwed up.
Yeah.
The same thing goes for Blizzard. They need to come back and be like, look, we've completely lifted the ban, and we made a new rule. You're just not allowed to say anything political, whether you think it is or not. It comes down to our discretion. So I think that's a big part of it. If you don't,
so simple like that.
You don't expressly state your rules, people will leave it open to interpretation.
Exactly.
I mean, that, I know that. They will leave it up to interpretation. They'll get pissed and they'll be like, well, I interpreted it as blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Well,
If
it doesn't
there's
matter how
nothing
you interpret
specifically
it.
forbidding it, who's to say there's no law to not? I mean, or no, no reason to not do it. Like, sorry, I'm not using my words correctly,
No,
but
I
you know
get
what I
it.
mean.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I'll say it exactly the way that I think that you mean it. If you don't have a rule against it, why would you all of a sudden ban somebody? You can't ban somebody and be like, you can't say anything political. Well, you don't have a rule against that. You never said that we couldn't say that. And even if it's open to interpretation where they're like, look, you can't say anything political, and then somebody says something that they don't think is political, and Blizzard goes, well, we think it is. Yeah, you might disagree with them, but they have a rule against it.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Very disappointing.
Make sure your Apple Watch is unlocked and on the wrist, and your iPhone is unlocked. Well, that was the problem. Yeah, we should wrap this up. I know we're going really long, but I think that's. Anyways, that was the point. I just wanted to mention how important I think that is. That if you're disappointed in a company, remember that you have to vote with your wallet. It's very important to vote with your wallet because that's what they hear most. Money talks, not us. And they may pay attention to what we have to say. And, I'm sure some companies are going to pay attention a lot more than others. But still.
Yeah, by voting by your wallet, could you explain what are some ways you can vote by your wallet to those who might not, understand?
Of course, for those that don't know, burn your wallet, flush your money down the toilet. That way you can't spend it. No, I'm just kidding. Save your money instead of buying into the products that they release. So, maybe you're unhappy with EA in general. Then you wouldn't buy their products. Now, I'm sorry that I'm using you as an example, EA, but, you're really easy to pick on. If you don't like, let's say you didn't like Destiny 1. Don't buy Destiny 2 because that's going to let them know that all they had to do was put it in a new package. And Destiny 2 is not exactly the same as Destiny 1, but it's the same type of experience. So you didn't like that type of experience, you want them to expand on it, or if you want them to add more story, or do more this, or do more that, or have more loot, you have to wait, see how it looks first. Don't stop pre-ordering products. Stop buying microtransactions constantly, and stop buying into their DLC immediately. And, don't buy games before they go on sale, things like that.
Yeah.
You want to vote with your wallet, make sure that you're making a good point with it,
Yeah.
And that's the point, is and that's another thing, though, is you're voting with your time, too. You get on Overwatch, they're going to see the statistic that they have X amount of players still. Oh, people say that they care and that they're going to stop playing World of Warcraft. Well, we have just as many subscribers as we ever had. They see that kind of stuff. You delete your World of Warcraft account, they go, oh my god, we lost 10,000 people after what happened. And so we've effectively lost. Those were long-term players that had been with us for 3+ years, whatever. We estimate that we just lost, $1.x amount million or whatever. Now they're going to be like, okay, so it seems like we're going to have to make some new rules and state them clearly. Otherwise, we're going to be putting ourselves in a whole mess of trouble.
Yep.
For the future. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the most important thing. So that's what I mean by vote with your wallet. But anyways, I don't really know how to appropriately wrap this up other than saying I appreciate that you guys have listened this far. It's been a very long podcast. I've enjoyed it. I think it's fun to just kind of chat with each other and not to talk about anything too particular.
Yeah.
But I mean, did you have any final thoughts? Anything left to wrap up on your end, Victor?
Not really. I mean, I think we did great. I want to say thank you to all our listeners and viewers that kind of stuck with us through this long podcast. But I mean, sometimes when you get on a roll, you just kind of just keep going. So if you have any input, I do want to emphasize, please leave us comments, questions, anything like that. We'd love to hear from you guys. Comments,
concerns, questions, ideas.
Yeah.
We would love to hear all of those things. If you review the podcast anywhere, we'll take a look at those reviews. If you put comments on YouTube, we would highly appreciate that. Look forward to getting a handful. And if we have any, questions on there, we would love to have a little segment where we could answer viewers' questions.
Yes, definitely.
Someday we'll get to that. We'll try to create. I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably one of the few, but we'll try to create more content that's, not as long. Maybe like we said, we could try to review some games, even older games. We could try to review some services. I think we should definitely review Game Pass as a whole, kind of our thoughts and ideas on it before the holiday season really hits, because I think that that's a huge hit for somebody to get for the holiday season. And maybe we can expand our audience a little bit so that things, kind of flow a little bit better. You're one of the few people that listen to it. We honestly do mean it. It's got to be under 10 people listening. And we enjoy bringing the content. We enjoy playing games with each other, and we certainly want to continue to do this as time goes on. But it would also be a lot of fun to kind of grow the audience a little bit and kind of, I don't know, mean more.
Yeah.
Kind of
It'll
affect
help
more.
Going, man. It'll help get us going, give us that energy.
It's just a fun project
Yeah.
for us, and if it never goes anywhere, we have fun talking and playing games, so we're fine with that. But if we can make it go somewhere, we're certainly going to try.
Yeah. So please help us help you.
Exactly. Exactly. But anyways, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you again sometime soon, and have a good one.
Have a good one. See you guys next time.
See you next time.
And scene.